Welcome back. I'm here with Scott Holloway again from Bartec USA. And Scott, I tell you what, you have so many cutting edge TPMS tools from Bartec USA. Can you walk us through a few of these?
I will. So about a year ago or so, we launched what we call our TPMS scan tool, the Tech 1000. This was sort of our first entry into a high-end, high-functioning tool that acted more like a scan tool than it did a TPMS tool, but really it's a TPMS tool with some really cool features and functions. It's wireless, so we can connect to the OBD via this wireless VCI, and it frees us up to get around the vehicle a little easier and do some of those more complicated relearns that require sort of that dual thing happening where you're at the wheel and tire and communicating to the OBD at the same time.
I noticed you said it has connectivity. Is that Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or both?
Yes, it's both. So, and the cool thing is it's an active Wi-Fi connection. So what we did on this tool that is really unique to a lot of tools in the marketplace, it has this feature where you can get tech support. So I could be working on a vehicle, and if I stumble, if I got an issue, if something goes wrong, what would happen in the past is the technician would have to, gather information, figure out where he was at, and then call our tech support. Well, now with this tool, you can, from the tool, initiate a tech support call ticket, and via the Wi-Fi connection, we get the notification at our tech support desk. So now, in real time, our tech support personnel can look at the same information that they're seeing on the tool and help them figure out what's wrong or where they may have misstepped. And then we call them. So rather than them trying to get a hold of us, we process all that information and then we actually reach out to them and walk them through the solution. So it was kind of something new for us, but it really took tech support to the next level.
Well, that really does help the guy out in the field because now I can move things along. I can do so accurately with good information and be able to service the vehicle a lot quicker.
And that's what it's all about, right? TPMS is complicated. There's a million different relearns, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but there's all kinds of different things going on, and trying to get the technician through the process quickly and easy is what it's all about, because one mistake here or there could cost you your margin as a tire business.
Now, on the flip side of this, for the tech itself, this is a lot easier to learn than someone who would come in and work with the old system. So you're able to put more techs out there who, if they need it, can get that tech support right away and service many different vehicles.
And that's exactly the point. We've always kind of considered that as we developed our user interfaces. The tool helps guide them and actually teach them what they're doing on the vehicle as they do it. So again, we know that tire shops oftentimes, there's lots of different techs coming through, and training and that learning curve is pretty important. So if they can get up to speed with the process and using the tool quickly, that helps everybody.
So we got the tech out in the field or at the shop, and he's servicing the vehicle. He's getting notices and maybe a little help from Bartec USA as well. But there are so many different things that he can actually do because these have multi-functions as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'll talk a little bit about the Tech 400 Pro in answering that, because this is the workhorse. This is the tool that is in more of the top 100 tire shops across the nation, and there are thousands of locations. This is the tool of choice, and mainly because of the things that we've done process-wise. One of those processes being Vindicate. So we've created the ability for the technician to connect the tool as a first step in the service, pull the VIN from the vehicle electronically and decode that. So now we can set the tool up based on exactly what this is and go to work. TPMS is, as we know, is complicated, and year to year there are changes, whether it be in the communication to the vehicle or even in the sensor type. So if you get it wrong, if I think this is a 14 when it's really a 13, guess what? I'm looking for the wrong sensor, and I'm going to get the wrong sort of diagnosis. So we eliminated that step. That way it's quicker and more accurate for the technician. So that's just one example. Another example, and we'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to our sensor, but we've created a new process called Right Sync. And Right Sync's really cool. And every time we explain it to somebody, they say, wow, why didn't we think of that sooner? Well, exactly, right? Those are the best ideas, are the ones that are the obvious ones. But in the world of programmable sensors, oftentimes people view it as an extra step. So if I'm replacing a sensor on a car, I've got to program it first. Then I got to go do the repair, and then I do the relearn. Well, what we figured out was, let's combine the programming step with the relearn. The relearn has to happen regardless. So that time is always going to be spent. What we did is we figured out how to interleave the programming step to that, so you get it for free in terms of the time.
Wow.
But the best part is that because we've decoded the VIN from the vehicle, we know exactly what we're doing in terms of programming, so we get it accurate, we get it right, but it's fast. So the mistakes they go away.
You know, that's the big thing. No mistakes, but time is money, and we're going to be able to service more vehicles, but do so accurately as well.
Absolutely. And one thing we know about TPMS is, in particular with programmable sensors, we do a lot of tech support here, and, oftentimes we would hear, I can't get the vehicle to relearn, the light won't go off. Okay, well, what sort of sensor are you using? XYZ sensor. Okay, what did you program it? Oh, didn't know we needed to program it, right? So there's either they didn't program it or they forgot to, or they programmed it wrong because they didn't understand the make, model, year. So this eliminates all of those questions, and they can get it done in the same amount of time as it takes to do a relearn. So it's awesome.
Well, I can see how this would be really valuable in the field, and actually it does much more than that as well. Is that right?
In terms of the process, yeah, it makes it so that even a brand new technician can program a sensor, do a relearn in less than a couple of minutes, if that was his first day on the job.
Hey, Scott, that has to be music to the ears of all shop owners out there, knowing that they can get it right, because it has been confusing in the past, and do so quickly and have the right solution so they can get the customer on the way and have another happy customer.
Happy customers, it's important that you're able to do the job the first time the right way, because anytime a customer comes back, it's going to cost you, right? And this is back even to what we were talking about a few moments ago about proper inspection. If you don't do that proper inspection, the chances of you inheriting a problem is rather high. We get this all the time. We do lots of training in the field, and one of the first questions that we'll ask a room full of technicians, so how many times have you done a simple tire rotation and then the customers come back because their TPMS light is flashing and the hands go up? And so then the follow-up question is, well, did you check the system before you did the work? And no one raises their hand. So the reality is that one of those sensors was already bad. They just didn't take the time to do that inspection. And it could take, in the average vehicle, it could take a week before a sensor stops transmitting. It'd take a week before the vehicle could actually recognize that and turn it into a light. Wow. So all you did was a tire rotation and oil change, but now you're going to buy somebody's sensor for them because you didn't do the inspection. So yeah. It's important.
Well, these are just two of the many shining stars that you have here in regards to tools. In fact, we also have tread depth measurement, and you can walk away telling a customer a whole lot more about their tire than just how much tread they have left on it.
Absolutely. So, you can kind of get to feel where we're heading here as a company, right? We're an OE company. We started out in the plants, and, we've landed, early on in the 2000s as an aftermarket provider of solutions. It's all been about tools. Now we talked about sensors. But yeah, there are other components to getting around the wheel well and doing inspection on a wheel and tire. And as you mentioned, we've got a couple of tools that kind of fit that bill. The TPG 200 and the Tech 200 Pro. And what these tools do, they measure remaining tread. They allow the technician to measure tread in 3 different places. So now we can kind of get an idea or a profile of the remaining, the wear pattern, if you will. And it also checks pressure. So I can take all that information and take it to an inspection report up on a monitor, provide it to the consumer, and give them a real snapshot of what's going on inside their wheel and tire. The Tech 200 Pro does all that with the added benefit of being able to test the TPMS sensor as well. Wow. So now we can get a complete picture of what's going on inside that wheel and tire. It takes the gauge pressure of the tire, compares it to the pressure that the sensor has provided, because oftentimes the system may be working, but if you notice a difference between gauge pressure and the sensor pressure, now it's a clue. It's a clue that either the pressure port on that sensor might be clogged, or there's something going on that sensor where it's starting to, near end of life and it's not performing the way it's supposed to. So just another diagnostic point that this tool is able to get.
And because you can actually show that to the customer in a digital display, they can ingest that data and see, hey, I think I need a new tire, there's some wear there, or, yeah, maybe that sensor's going. Get me fixed up so I can get out the door.
Absolutely. That's the best case scenario is being, put yourself as the technician or the front counter person. You're the expert. You've gone out and did a complete analysis of what's going on inside that wheel and tire for the customer. And even if it's all good news, you're building that relationship with your customer to say, look, we've inspected everything. Your tire tread's good. It's wearing well. Your sensor's functioning. We're good, but keep an eye on things, right? And then the next time you come in, you do that same thing, and really you can even start building a history, because if you're testing remaining tire tread every time they come in, you kind of get an idea of how fast they're using tires, so that gets you in that mode of, hey, looks like next spring you're going to need a set of tires based on how you're wearing currently. Right. But the idea is good or bad, provide good information to the consumer so they can make a decision and feel like you're giving them good, unbiased information.
Well, all of these tools from Bartec USA really will help us to establish an additional stream of strong revenue, selling tires, servicing sensors, adding sensors, etc. And that will help us, as you said earlier, to own the wheel well. And you have one amazing product that we'd like to talk about, the right sensor, when we come back. Can we kind of dive into that?
Absolutely.